Good morning, everyone, or for you on the East Coast, good afternoon. Welcome to More Than Just Sales, Driving Loyalty Over the Holidays. I'll be your host today, Alex Etner. I'm the Associate Director of Lifecycle Marketing here at Hawke Media, and I'm joined today by Amanda Smith, my colleague over at Klaviyo.
Thanks for having me, Alex.
Of course. So, to get us started today, I wanted to just focus on a cautionary tale of holiday campaigns maybe not going so great. The idea here was we create a group of VIPs and utilize this new tool using Facebook Messenger for one of my clients last year. Message them about early access to savings. Sounds like a great idea, pretty standard, Black Friday campaign. Really, what could go wrong? Well, what we had here was a family-oriented sock company. They were really hoping for, a breakout holiday campaign this season because they were, itching for a little extra success. And so, utilizing all these new tools that we had, we wanted to see, how we could really drive, some really impactful sales over the holidays. Well, we got a lot of not so happy customers after that. People who were complaining, why would you message me today, the day before Black Friday, also known as Thanksgiving, when I'm with my family. I thought this was a family-oriented company, and then just in all caps, do not message me on Thanksgiving, et cetera, lots of happy customers. Well, instead of a massive success that we were hoping for, obviously, these concerned customers kind of rubbed us the wrong way, and so we had to cancel some of our other messages on Facebook Messenger over the holiday weekend. The thought being that, maybe our users just weren't motivated by, these early messages and access to the holiday sale. Well, digging into the data a little bit deeper, we realized that while email could be seen as sort of a non-invasive approach to giving people early access on Thanksgiving, when we were using a much more personalized, much more urgent style of messaging with Facebook Messenger, we really weren't reflecting the brand perception that we were trying to. What you say and how you say it, as well as how you actually message it, really affects your brand perception here. And that's the issue we ran into. So while email would have been fine, we definitely rubbed people the wrong way by sort of interrupting their family day, and this more direct line of messaging, this new tool that we were very excited to try out, didn't end up being as successful as we had hoped. So I'll pass it over to Amanda to go in a little bit deeper on how we look at these Black Friday customers and what we can learn from them.
Thanks, Alex. And I think one of the core things, core pieces of what you spoke about is just knowing your customers, right? So certainly, understanding your customers, and like you said, email is a great channel, but of course you want to be able to understand your customers that you are emailing, right? The actions they're taking, and how we should engage with them. And we actually, this plays really nicely into some of the results we found from a recent benchmark report that our marketing team pulled together. So this is live on our site. You can take a look at this. We'll be sending out the link afterwards to everyone, but it's called E-commerce Sales, How Relationship Building and Planning Impact Black Friday, Cyber Monday. We found some really cool stats. So you can see here this big green number, 48%. What that represents is sales generated by customers on Black Friday, Cyber Monday last year, 2018. They were first active between Q1 2017 and Q3 2018. What does this mean? This means that almost half of Black Friday sales come from customers that are already engaged with your brand. And we'll talk a little bit later on about how that can help inform your strategy on Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Some other really cool stats as well about these individuals that are buying on Black Friday, Cyber Monday. 10% of sales are driven by customers who first engaged with the brand less than 6 months prior to Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So while the lion's share of folks that are buying on Black Friday, Cyber Monday were engaged with the brand well in advance, there is a small portion of folks who are newer to the brand, right? 70% of first-time buyers during this time period did not make a subsequent purchase in the following year. So it's very, very interesting. And something else we're going to provide some tips and tricks on later on as well. And then lastly, 17% higher average Black Friday, Cyber Monday order value for those who first clicked emails, right? Engage with emails between Q1 2017 and Q3 2018. Again, highlighting these folks who have engaged prior with your brand are not only going to be more likely to purchase, but they're also more likely to have a higher average order value. So again, we'll chat later on about how to communicate with these customers, but really cool stats here. Last stat to share with you, 89%, and that is the number of the amount of 2018 Black Friday, Cyber Monday purchases that were made by customers who opened an email before Q4. So bottom line here, those who have engaged with your brand previously through a purchase, through email, they're really likely to buy again on Black, or be one of the core groups of buyers on Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So we're going to step back before we talk about how to engage with those different groups of people, because I want to introduce everyone to some of the core concepts of the Klaviyo platform and how you can build relationships with these customers, kind of tying back into Alex's story earlier on, and how you build those relationships, really understand your customer. But before we jump into that, I want to introduce a framework. And this framework on the next slide here is the Listen, Analyze, and Communicate framework. So this is, a fairly, something we use every day in our day-to-day conversations, right? When creating a relationship with someone, there's a framework that essentially consists of these three phases. You listen, ingest data about someone by asking, observing what they do. You might store that information to analyze it, understand, develop learnings about that person that you're communicating with. The more information you learn, more you understand someone. And then finally, use all this information to take action and communicate information you have at hand, right? So this is something humans do every day. But on the next slide here, you'll see that the average human can only maintain about 16 of these relationships, right? This is a very hands-on process, getting to know someone and getting to maintain a relationship like this. So there really is a cap, or a capacity to how we can do this in our, on our day-to-day with other humans, right? But with technology, so you can see on the next slide here, there is no limit, right? We aim to do this at scale with technology. And with technology, each step is completed and replicated continuously in seconds. On the next slide here, first let's dive into how you would listen using, using technology, using the Klaviyo platform. So to really digitally listen to customers, there's three different levers we can pull, right? We have store data. We have, so that's from an e-commerce store, and email data, right? So how someone's actually engaging with emails. We talked earlier about the people that are engaging with emails and how they're more likely to make, purchases during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and of course, third-party data. All of this is observational, right? These are the things, these are actions that users are taking. We are observing it and using it to learn a little bit more about them, right? The next piece is asking for that data. So also in this listening category, we can actually ask someone for information, right, by using on-site forms, right? So this is more a top of the funnel approach. We can also progressively profile as users are browsing, right? We can continue to use on-site forms to ask users additional questions about themselves. We also can use email triggers. So something really cool that we started to have our customers utilize earlier in the year is progressively profiling using email triggers. So this allows you can see in this example here, the question is cake or pie. And just by clicking either one of those two CTA buttons, cake or pie, in the bottom of the email, you can update a contact's profile by how they interact with that, right? So their profile might say that they're interested in cake, so you can start to segment them going forward based on that interest. Okay, so now we've asked for this data, we've observed it, and then, so what do we do next? We want to analyze that data. We want to understand it so we can properly segment and communicate with our customers. So in Klaviyo, there's a lot of different ways in which we can do this. We have really powerful segmentation tools that allow you to choose certain conditions like shopping frequency and recency, right? Buying and purchase behavior, the order value, right? Whether or not someone's opening, clicking emails. We mentioned earlier how Klaviyo integrates with a lot of loyalty platforms, bringing in that data. We also have a very cool feature called predictive analytics, which allows us to predict a couple different things. One is actually the next order date that user will place another order based on their past history and the past history of everyone else in your database. So really cool ways for us to analyze the data, to understand all of these things that we're observing, we're asking, and segment our customers appropriately. And the last and final piece, the moment we've all been waiting for, is how we actually are able to communicate back to those customers and acting with purpose, right? So two different ways here. We can use triggered automation. So we call these flows in Klaviyo, and those are all based on the actions that a user is taking. We can personalize those flows and, you know, all the information that we've gathered previously about that person. We can also personalize the campaigns that we're sending as well. If someone indicates that on the previous example, if they like cake, we're going to make sure that we have a cake interest segment that we are sending to, and we deliver all of the cake content that we have as a brand to ensure that we are catering to someone's interests. So with that, the Listen, Analyze, Act framework is really allowing you to understand and communicate with your customers and build relationships at scale, right? So all this is, all these tools will certainly allow you to be successful in the holiday season. But there are some foundational pieces that we would recommend keeping top of mind as well. So during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, one of the baseline recommendations that we are encouraging customers to use is segmented experiences. So we talked earlier on how that really high percentage of buyers on Black Friday, Cyber Monday being existing users, right? Being existing folks that are already engaged with your brand. Let's offer them some VIP treatment, right? Let's ensure that those loyal customers are getting maybe early access, unique discount codes, maybe it's free shipping. You can not only do this over email, right, by segmenting your list and sending emails to these VIPs, but you could also use on-site pop-up forms available in the Klaviyo platform to build and launch. Basically what you would do is do the same exact thing. You'd say, okay, I want anyone who is above a certain order value to see this pop up on my site on Black Friday or Cyber Monday. And you could cater that same VIP experience on site as well. Same goes for net new users too. So really cool way to segment those experiences and utilize the data that we talked about earlier on to maximize the traffic and the emails that are being engaged with on Black Friday, Cyber Monday. The next thing we recommend is keeping in mind deliverability best practices. I understand it can be very tempting to want to send to everyone that's on your list. You want to make sure that everyone's aware of the great deals that your brand is running on Black Friday, Cyber Monday. But it is important to keep in mind deliverability best practices during this time, right? So we want to make sure that we continue to implement a sunset strategy to ensure that any subscribers that are not engaged with your brand in the last, at max, 180 days are not being emailed. We don't want to risk, falling in any sort of spam trap or anything like that that could hurt your deliverability, especially during this critical time period. So we definitely recommend keeping in mind these best practices. We do have a Facebook integration that you could use to engage with these unengaged subscribers. So I mentioned anyone who's 180 100 should not be emailing them. But what you could do is through the Facebook integration, send that list over to Facebook to create a audience. You could engage them with Facebook ads going forward and try to get them to re-engage. And that's something you can employ not just during the holiday season, but outside of the holiday season as well. It's part of your regular sunsetting strategy. All right, the next piece here I definitely would recommend is some foundational flows. So if there's one thing we are most certain of during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, it's that you're going to see a ton of volume on these foundational flows. So that's your welcome series, anyone net new that's coming to your site and subscribing. That's your abandoned cart. So anyone that's leaving something in their cart and not completing the purchase. And then, of course, anyone who's making a purchase, that post-purchase series. So definitely take another look at these flows before Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Tune everything up. Maybe cater that abandoned cart in that post-purchase purchasers and repeat purchasers. Should that messaging look a little different based on what we know about first-time and repeat purchasers during Black Friday, Cyber Monday? All good things to make sure are tuned up and ready to go for the high volume time frame. The last thing that we'll say is be smart about sending, no pun intended. So we do have a feature in Klaviyo in the email settings called Smart Sending. What this allows you to do is ensure that you have a designated time frame for when you want individuals to be receiving multiple emails. So you could set that smart send time to be 8 hours, for example, so that if someone receives an email, they won't receive another email for another 8 hours, even if they're queued up to receive one. You might want to actually adjust this smart send time during the holiday season. Maybe you want to take it down. Maybe you don't want it to apply to certain emails, but you also want to, at the same time, be really mindful about email fatigue. So it is a bit of a balance here. Emails are being sent more frequently during the holiday season, but you also want to just keep in mind that user experience, and you don't want the emails to be ignored or users to be overwhelmed. So I would say here the key is just have balance during this high volume time frame. So with that being said, we've talked a lot about the Klaviyo platform, some of the foundational elements that you can ensure to employ for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. But Alex, I want to turn it back over to you to share some real life examples of your experiences during the holiday season.
Yeah, thanks, Amanda. So, as you went over, a lot of these concepts, they seem really great, but, what we really want to know is how do these drive loyalty and how does that equate to actual holiday season success? So what I've prepared for you guys is a couple of Hawke's real life clients that have worked with our email marketing team, and through months of planning and checking all the boxes that Amanda listed here, we've found some techniques to really help improve our holiday success and make the biggest impact at this most important time of the year for our clients. The first client I have for you guys is a comfortable travel shoe company. They're a fun brand with a very loyal group of returning purchasers. And what they were trying to do is really just drive home this holiday season, bring a lot of value to their VIP customers while also attracting and not alienating those one-time customers who tend to commit to a brand over the holiday season. Well, we put the tiered promo to the test here. We sent 15 emails over the course of 8 days. And I know what you're thinking, that's not very smart sending. But utilizing different segmentation as well as setting up some conditional logic so that we weren't, abusing our email list and sending, everybody 15 emails, each user ended up getting around 6 messages over the course of the 8 days. So less than 1 per day. And this was over, we were utilizing flash sales, VIP purchaser segments. We were able to give early access to our VIPs, and also specifically focusing on our last year's holiday purchasers and focusing on how they might be driven to purchase again during this time of year. We sent in, as well as sending out reminder emails for non-openers, So we were really trying to drive more sales for those who hadn't already engaged without bothering those who already purchased. Well, what we were able to do was really drive the needle here, and we saw a 72% increase in online sessions from our emails year over year during this Black Friday and Cyber Monday season over the last one. But what's really impressive was the 100% increase in revenue attributed to our email efforts from one year to the next. What we were really able to drive home at this point was just the impact of allowing early access and really rewarding our most valuable customers without ever alienating our one-time purchasers from these sales. The next client I have here was a cosmetics brand that specializes in customizable makeup palettes. And what we were trying to do here was, on the other side of things, really give back to the user and increase that user agency over the holiday season. So we added an extra pop-up on site. Typically we'd have a normal email capture, but we connected this one to a specific list for users who wanted early access to our Black Friday deals, as you can see in the top right corner there. What this allowed for was, people to actually self-select when they go to our site if they want to receive, an extra email. And it also allowed us to send out our Black Friday deal to our most valuable purchasers a little bit early. And we were able to identify them not by using just smart segmentation, but actually letting the user select themselves for this group. We then sent them a confirmation email, as you see on the bottom right here, letting them know that they were in, that they had access, and then the big day, a couple days before Black Friday, we gave them an early access sale. It was about a fifth of the size of our total audience, but those early users actually brought in 23% of all of our November revenue across all of our sales and email campaigns running. We also saw a 24% higher open rate from our Black Friday early users, as well as a 778 increase in overall conversion rate from our other Black Friday emails. So really, when the user is primed for the email, they know when they're going to get it, they know what to expect, and they actually select that they want to be involved. The amount of engagement really increases, and that really drives the bottom line to create a very, very impactful Black Friday experience for our customers. So I wanted to open up the floor to some questions and see if anything's coming through the chat. It looks like we might have gotten a couple of questions in here. So yeah, Amanda, I think this one is good for you. The question is, I'm a new brand and just started collecting data. If I don't have a lot of data, what tools can I use within Klaviyo to make sure that I still have a successful holiday season?
Yeah, this is a good question. So certainly, I think, that we shared earlier on about the types of purchasers that we see on Black Friday and Cyber Monday still would stand true for a newer brand, right? So anyone that's recently engaged with your brand has made some purchases, and you have data about them and the purchases they made, you already there have a pretty strong indicator of who's going to be purchasing on Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So your messaging to that group is really important. And I think it also underlines, these are your early adopters as well, right, of their product. So we really want to show those folks that VIP experience and, really show our appreciation for those customers that bought from the brand early on. So I would say those fundamentals are sort of unchanged, right? And then with acquisition of new customers, I'd say utilize the data that you have and really put it to work. And by that, I mean, we talked about the Facebook integration earlier on. Let's say you have some data on purchasers dating back for, let's say, the last 6 months or so. you could use that group of people, send them over through the Facebook integration to Facebook and create a lookalike audience of those users that you could target as a new user acquisition strategy. So I'd say all in all, you want to just make sure you have that limited amount of data really work for you and reward those folks that are early adopters of your brand, as they're more likely to make purchases on Black Friday, Cyber Monday anyways.
That's great. We got another question here in the chat. How would you suggest we prioritize email acquisition versus SMS? Also, how would you recommend balancing your touch points between both platforms? So I'd love to hop in on that one. For the sake of email versus SMS, they're two very different channels, and I want to have you think back to my sort of cautionary tale here. When we message people directly in Facebook Messenger, which is a very similar platform in terms of that direct one-to-one communication that you get compared to SMS, we really want to be careful about when we're messaging people throughout the holiday season, because you have to remember, it's holidays for us as brands and marketers, but it's also holidays for the end users who are trying to spend time with their family. So I would just make sure to be extra careful that you're messaging people when they want to receive it. Now, if you have a specific SMS pop-up that says sign up for our text offers and get early access, and it's very, very clear that when they're going to receive the messaging, I'd say that allows the user to self-select how they want to receive the information, as well as allows them to again increase that user agency in the situation, similar to when we added that additional pop-up on our site for the cosmetics company. There was a follow-up, and what if we have a younger audience, 18 to 26? Yes, well, the younger audience, as we've seen through our life cycle marketing efforts here at Hawke, they're definitely more likely to engage in SMS. That said, I know when I was, in my young 20s, my mom would probably throw something at me across the table if she caught me texting during Thanksgiving dinner. So we still want to be very, very careful about the timing of the messages. So just making sure that, maybe an early message on Black Friday or a SMS follow-up to let them know that, the sale's still going on, or that the sale was extended through Saturday, is a better concept here than messaging on Thanksgiving Day.
Hey, Alex, this is Amanda. I wanted to add to that too. You brought up some really good points about opting in and ensuring that there's balance between both platforms. And I would be remiss if I didn't plug that we are actually launching SMS for Klaviyo before Black Friday, Cyber Monday in November. We're aiming for that second week in November. So the question that Chanel asked about how you recommend balancing touch points between both platforms. The really unique capability with Klaviyo launching our own native SMS functionality will be that you can manage both email and SMS all in one place, right? So you're not left wondering if someone's receiving a text and an email at the same time, or that they're receiving a lot of different things simultaneously. Right, you can see that whole user experience all through Klaviyo. So you can think about, like, if someone's abandoning a cart, that you could either, based on their preferences, could send them a SMS message, and this would be like a conditional split within Klaviyo flows, or an email. So again, all managed through Klaviyo, and we're really excited about that upcoming offering.
Yeah.
About what SMS? Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm just very excited about utilizing SMS for my Klaviyo as well. It's going to be really cool, and the fact that we can add it into our flow builder as conditional splits, making sure that we're not over messaging people, or that we send reminders, like we were saying, is just a great utilization of the technology. Yeah,
we're really excited about it, and we're excited to get folks up and running on it. I actually see some questions coming in on SMS. If you don't mind me addressing some of these, Alex, while they're hot off the presses. So we had Jordan ask, what does an SMS warm-up look like? And Alex, if you have more to add here, please do. But from our side, we're going to start with SMS functionality in our flows tool. So what we are making sure from the beginning is that we have a number chosen if you don't have one already, and that is the number that those messages will come from. And then we also have consent from the users that you'd like to send to. And so we have a couple mechanisms in Klaviyo which you'll be able to do that. And then from there, you'll really be able to, as long as you have those things in place, you'll be able to easily drag and drop those SMS actions into your existing flows, so you can start sending messages from Klaviyo. So it should be a pretty seamless process for users to get up and running. Alex, anything else to add there?
Not too much. With SMS though, because it is a more direct platform, we really do have to be careful about the compliance issues on the platform. Obviously, it's a new tool and we're all itching to use it. Just make sure that, when you're collecting those phone number and signups, that there's some sort of automation in place to welcome those new users and make sure that, they have the ability to opt out at any time. There's no real can spam sort of laws in the same way that we have them for email just yet, though that's definitely something that we can expect to see down the road. So we just want to make sure that all of our clients are sticking to all compliance and making sure that we're not overly messaging or messaging people who haven't explicitly signed up.
Yeah, great point. I think that's probably one of the biggest aspects, right? Getting set up with SMS is ensuring that compliance is sound. We have another question here. Will you need a secondary text platform to use SMS with Klaviyo? And the answer is no. It's all built into Klaviyo. It's natively built. We have all the functionality on our end to be able to create everything from a long number, if that's the type of number you'd like, right through Klaviyo. You'll be able to send text messages from Klaviyo the same day. So very easy to get and quick to get set up, all available to you.
Awesome. We have another question
we also
here from... Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Amanda.
No, it's okay. I think we were tackling the same question here. So go ahead, Alex.
Okay, we got a question here from Jordan. Can you define customer engagement, referencing the deliverability slide? Are you talking about email engagement in the last 180 days, or does this include site activity and purchases? So
yeah,
when it comes to deliverability, when we're talking about, this is in reference to sending out email messages. So we definitely, even if we have a very engaged subscriber engaged on our site and, who's purchasing regularly, we still want to be careful that we're not emailing people who don't want to receive our messages. So if somebody is not engaged with any sort of email within the last 180 days, even though they're a purchaser, chances are that they probably just don't want to receive our email all that much. The best thing that you can do is set up a sunset flow in advance of Black Friday so that you can make sure that these disengaged users are given one last chance to re-engage, or that they're removed, and you remove that temptation to email everybody blindly over Black Friday as well. Amanda, did you have anything to add on that?
No, I think all the information that you laid out there is perfect. I think what, plain and simple, what it comes down to is that these ISPs, Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail, they only have access really to the data, whether or not their users are opening and clicking emails, right? They don't have access to the information like on-site activity or purchases or anything like that. So when these ISPs are making decisions about where emails, whether they're going to spam or not, they're looking at that user engagement, that user activity. So that's really the only signal they have to go off of, other than maybe some IP reputation, things like that. So it is really important to use that engagement criteria as your primary means of understanding who's engaged with emails and who you should be sending to going forward.
Great. There's a follow-up question here from Jordan. Would it be smart to use your VIP offer early access deal to try and re-engage your win-back segment, or best to keep separate? Yeah, that's a tough one. I would say, with your VIP offer, you're really trying to engage reward those who, have already been engaged with your brand, who have been, loyal purchasers. And so you don't want to muddy that water with, anybody who's disengaged. I think a separate, like I was saying, a separate sunset or re-engagement flow to re-engage those customers directly might be the best bet, just because, especially with all the emails that you're going to be sending over this time period, we want to be extra careful about our deliverability and our sender reputation, because, the worst thing that could happen is, between Black Friday and Cyber Monday, you end up messing up your deliverability, and now you're getting, promotions folder or even spam folder in Gmail. So, just with this time, you want to be extra careful with your users and make sure that you're not muddying the waters and over emailing people who are just not engaged.
Awesome. It looks like we have another question just in those SMS functionalities. Karen wants to know, is MMS messaging available where we can have text and images in the message? So great question. So initially with our launch that we are slating before Black Friday, Cyber Monday, we won't have MMS available, but we will have it as part of our sort of secondary launch, which will occur in Q4 around this time frame. So we'll have MMS available where you'll be able to send images, and you'll also be able to send SMS through campaigns as well. So more to come there for that second launch, but we do plan on having that.
We got ourselves a real head-scratcher question here from Chanel. How do you check your deliverability? And, I'm laughing to myself here because there is no real right or wrong way to do this. I know that there's a number of different tools, third-party systems that can help you with this. I believe SendGrid has something built into their platform. Return Path is another one. But the best thing to do to check on your deliverability is to just keep tabs of your data, making sure that your email efforts are maintaining similar open rates, not getting bounce rates that are too high. You're keeping spam complaints to a minimum. Anytime you have a bounce rate that's hitting above 2%, or a spam rate that's hitting above 0.2%, you're really going to start getting into some sticky territory there. And so you just need to keep monitoring this. There are some other tools out there. You can make sure that you're not on any blacklists. Obviously, that would directly affect your deliverability. Other than that, though, there's no exact answer. It's not something that is user facing on the ESP side, and so the best thing to do is just keep an eye on your data, making sure that you're hitting your benchmarks and you're not dropping too low with your engagement rates, to ensure that if you see your open rates slipping, in a couple months before Black Friday, Cyber Monday, that might signify that there is some sort of deliverability issue happening, and that's when you'd want to maybe engage in one of these third-party services, or even engage with an agency who can help you dig in a little bit deeper and figure out what's going on.
That was a great answer, Alex. I think that's always a tough one. Deliverability is a tough one to measure, quite honestly. We have a couple measures, like you mentioned, bounce rate, open rate, that can allow us to get a sense for what's going on. But certainly, there are a bunch of different ways in which the ISPs decide, how where things are placed in the inbox, and it can be sort of nebulous, to be honest. So you mentioned some great tools, Alex. I would also say that some free resources out there include something like Google Postmasters gives you a sense of, you set up an account, it'll give you a sense of your reputation over time, and how Google specifically, which is typically the highest volume of email recipients being sent to on behalf of brands, sees your deliverability. So a couple of resources out there, but certainly it is a tough one. I think you gave some good tips, Alex.
Thank you. Great. We have another question here. This is referring to that unsuccessful holiday campaign that I brought up, the cautionary tale. What did you do to fix that negative perception? That's a great question. Well, first and foremost, we had the client support staff was immediately messaging back people on Facebook Messenger, just to let them know that we apologize and offered them, that discount, and extended that discount for a few extra days for them. One of the best things that is in the email marketer's arsenal is the oops email, something that we all hope that we never have to use. But I've seen with many brands, mistakes happen. We're all human, and sometimes an email goes out wrong, or we send a message at the wrong time. The oops email is actually one of the highest converting emails that you can send. It's funny how that works. It seems a little bit counterintuitive, but people like the human aspect of the email marketing, and knowing that there's an actual person on the other side of things to let you know that we acknowledge our mistakes and we want to make it up to you, really does end up having a positive perception for most brands that we've seen. Great. Well, I think that might be the end of our questions here today. If you guys do have any questions, feel free to reach out to Amanda or myself. This webinar will be recorded, and then you can always reach out to Klaviyo's support staff, as well as contacting us at Hawke Media. We're always happy to consult with other brands and help you make sure you have all the resources available that you need to have that holiday success and really drive that long-term value and loyalty from your customers. So thank you all for joining today. Amanda, thank you so much for all the information and for joining me today to talk about this. And we hope to hear from all of you all soon.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Alex.
All right. Have a good one, everyone. Happy holidays.